that number one status goes with reducing my rates and taxes for Johannesburg. Let me thank everyone who's here. We've been here since morning, and in fact since yesterday. I'd like to thank those who have joined us for this stakeholder meeting, and I'd like to thank you for your contributions and the ideas that you've put forward. But I also want to thank you for the spirit in which this meeting has been conducted, particularly by those organizations who, when invited, have taken the trouble and the time to come here. You have proven to me that you are indeed organizations that are deeply invested in the life of this city. And you are, in a way, as one of you said, a coalition of the willing. And you want to be part of the missing puzzle and this whole conundrum that Johannesburg is involved in. And you do not want to be put forward as a band-aid on the problem. You want to be part of the solution. And I want to thank the mayor and indeed my office for having amassed the whole gallery of organizations that are here, representing the various formations of civil society, ranging from young people to business, to academia, and we would have had religious as well, and trade unions. That to me represents the full galaxy of organizations, and indeed government as well. Organizations and entities that are normally involved in the life of any country, and in this case, the city of Johannesburg. And all of you who spoke this afternoon demonstrated a great deal of passion. But you also represented or demonstrated concerns, and some, a little bit of anger, which you expressed, and some came forward with very practical solutions and ideas, and some of you demonstrated how much work you've been doing, from either recalibrating the Mandela Bridge and also enhancing collaboration and discussion and debate and putting people together to discuss the challenges that this city is facing. So that for me is really heartwarming. And it's heartwarming because all of you have shown that collaboration is a really powerful instrument. And it is the reason why you are all here. And you are here because you want to be part of what we do to address what Johannesburg is going through. Today is a truly momentous day, a day in which we actually consolidate what has been done before. It's not the first time that we're bringing people together to talk about the challenges that Johannesburg is facing. It has been done, but today we're doing it with greater effectiveness because we brought all the levels of government, national, provincial, local, as well as all other stakeholders that matter in the life of Johannesburg. So today we've heard your concerns and the proposals that you've put forward to improve not only service delivery, but also how we can drive inclusive growth here in Johannesburg. Now, as a resident of Johannesburg myself, I do share the concerns that have been expressed. about the deterioration of the city, the services, and the infrastructure. Over the last 2 days, members of the National Executive of the country have engaged the leadership of Gauteng, as well as the leadership of Johannesburg, the city, on the key challenges that are facing our city and our province, and finding ways of doing what needs to be done to address these challenges. I must say that we are committed to ensuring that through cooperation among the three spheres of government, we will urgently attend to the challenges. We may well have said so in the past, but the enormity of the challenges and the problem compels us to now say we are going to redouble our efforts. Because Johannesburg is a special place. And earlier I said, Johannesburg is too big to fail, and we're not going to allow it to fail. We're going to work hard to restore Johannesburg to its old glory. We're going to work hard to ensure that its neighborhoods and townships are restored to what they should be, and development does take place. We want also the rich history of this town, this city, to be restored. It's been a city of struggle, it's been a city of great progress that has been seen, but it has now become stuck in a rut, and we now need to boost Johannesburg and take it out of the rut it is in. And we have a number of positives that we can rely on. Johannesburg's diversity has always been its greatest strength. From Lenasia to Alexandra, from Parkhurst to El Dorado Park, this city espouses unity in diversity. In the democratic period, Johannesburg has become one of the foremost cultural, political, and economic centers in our country. It is therefore vital for the country's future that Johannesburg should be restored to its former glory. And perhaps its new glory, because it needs to go beyond its former self, and it needs to be a modern Johannesburg that responds to the times that we live in. The Government of National Unity has prioritized reaching a higher percentage of growth than where we are, to create the jobs that South Africa needs. Our metropolitan areas are obviously going to be critical to drive this growth. Metros can only play this vital role if they grow economically, and in the end, they have citizens living in them who are thriving, who are economically progressing, and if they live also in safe areas where there is good transport, good infrastructure, and that enables them to have better lives. For South Africa to thrive, Johannesburg must lead in a number of areas. It must lead in good governance, in service delivery, and also in economic growth and job creation. I've heard today how the ongoing disruptions in water and in electricity provision are making the lives of residents very difficult. I've also heard how deteriorating road infrastructure, not only heard but also experienced it myself, how the potholes that are littered all over our streets and roads, how our bridges that are unsafe, how our dysfunctional street lights are making life difficult for the residents of this city. We are equally concerned about the closure of public facilities like the Johannesburg Library, where I used to study, but also where I used to go and borrow books as a young man. The Johannesburg Art Gallery and the Metro Center are also in decline, but I also had some good news. The mayor told me that the Johannesburg Library should be opening later this month or early next month. That's good news. Unfinished and delayed infrastructure projects, including Rea Vaya bus stations and the refurbishment of Lillian Ngoyi Street, must be prioritized. We also share the sentiment that there needs to be a collaborative focus on rejuvenating the inner city of Johannesburg and the city's townships. I related earlier, and I will not repeat it, how driving through the streets of Johannesburg, I became more and more disheartened by the state of the city. Through the Department of Cooperative Governance, National Treasury, and provincial government, we are supporting the city of Johannesburg to stabilize its governance and financial affairs. Minister Tlhabisa and his department and Minister Godongwane are having a paying razor focus attention on assisting the city to address many challenges that it faces. Now, we need to ensure that we unlock service delivery backlogs and begin to address the backlog in infrastructure provision. I must say that I was very disturbed when I heard Dr. Ledger talking about how the money that we allocate for supporting indigent families, about 560 rand per month, to assist them with water and electricity, is only allocated to 100,000 households when we have budgeted for 1,100,000. I regard this as a real disgrace and terrible, and it's something I want to see corrected immediately. That must happen. We allocate 70 billion rand a year for supporting indigent families throughout the country. And to have Johannesburg utilizing the money that is allocated to 1 million households and utilize it for general operation costs is something that's unacceptable. That money that is allocated to support indigent families is precisely the money that we want to see reducing the cost of living of the poor. That money belongs to the poor of this city and must go to that purpose. I will be paying closer attention to what happens to the money that is allocated to the indigent people in our country. A year ago, I announced the establishment of a presidential working group in eThekwini, which brought together government, a number of key stakeholders, as in business, organized labor, and civil society. Like Johannesburg, eThekwini was facing similar issues related to water disruptions, crime and governance challenges, and financial mismanagement. The model that we piloted in eThekwini has shown good progress, resulting in a steady improvement in business and societal confidence in eThekwini. A number of people experienced how eThekwini, Durban particularly, has improved during the holidays when they thronged to Durban, which used to be the real mecca of tourism in our country, and where this time round they were able to see visions of how Durban is being rebuilt and being reconstructed. Our learnings in eThekwini make us confident that this is the correct model to address Johannesburg's many challenges. What we did in eThekwini is putting the district development model into practice. It is a model that is proving itself to be quite effective in that through that model we are able to break down the silos that exist in government, but more importantly to be able to bring a number of other key role players from outside government to participate in the work that needs to be done to reform and to rebuild our state in line with the priority that we set out for ourselves to ensure that we build a capable and developmental state. Dr. Ledger correctly says that by not allocating the indigent amount that should go to poor families, we demonstrate that we are not a developmental state. And I couldn't agree with her more. We therefore must accede to higher levels of being a developmental state and ensure that resources that are allocated to assist the poor do go to giving support to poor people in our country, and by so doing, addressing the second priority that we set out for ourselves as a government of national unity, to reduce poverty and also to reduce the cost of living. Over the last month, the presidency has engaged the city of Johannesburg, the province of Gauteng, and some social partners on establishing a presidential Johannesburg working group. There has been broad support from everyone engaged in an intergovernmental mechanism that will strengthen cooperation and leverage the expertise and resources of all stakeholders in the city of Johannesburg. What a number of you as stakeholders demonstrated today is that you are indeed a reservoir of great knowledge, both historic knowledge, current contextual knowledge, as well as future knowledge, from academia to business to young people articulating precisely what they are doing and would like to do for this city. So we want to harness all that. We see that as great strengths that we need to harness to address the challenges that Johannesburg faces. And what is pleasing is the manner in which you express your willingness to work with us. And some of you brought your own documents, which you have handed over, containing the proposals that you want to put forward. So today, in the discussions that we have had and the inputs that a number of you have made, we have further cemented this approach of collaboration, of working together. The Presidential Johannesburg Working Group will focus on many of the issues that have been raised here today. The first focus area will be on governance and financial sustainability. We will work to strengthen the internal governance and financial management of the city by restoring institutional capacity. Yes, we need to ensure, as one of you said, that we appoint people who are capable, people who know what they are doing, and we should not be appointing people because of their political affiliation. We should be appointing people because of what they can do and what they know. The second focus will be on water and sanitation, and the third focus will be on electricity as well. We will work to stabilize critical infrastructure by improving yes, maintenance, increasing funding, and focusing on the whole value chain. Earlier, we also spoke about how we can crowd in the private sector and how we can ensure that the private sector does indeed play a critical role in helping to finance a number of projects that this city needs to embark upon. The fourth area of focus will be on public spaces and beautifying our city. We need to make this city beautiful so that it does not only become a concrete jungle. Specific interventions will include fixing road infrastructure, restoring street lighting, as well as traffic lights, and enhancing waste collection throughout the city. And of course, it should also include ensuring that the workers, the 46,000 workers or so as we had, are well treated, well compensated, so that they are properly incentivized to do the work that must be done to ensure that this city does turn around. On safety, the Presidential Johannesburg Working Group will focus on improving law enforcement and urban security. As we heard earlier, a number of steps have already been taken. The mayor reported, and indeed the South African Police Service is busy throughout the days working either through Operation Chanela and other more focused task forces to ensure that they bring down the high level of criminality in this city. Particular focus will be on combating infrastructure crime, as well as vandalism, and enforcing bylaws. And it is through enforcing bylaws, Mayor, that I'd like the city to focus more attention on. What we have tended to see throughout the country is a lack of enforcing bylaws, where it is almost like, colloquially I could say, like the Wild West, where anybody does whatever they like. If they want to put up any structure in the middle of the road, they go ahead and do so. Piece of land, they go ahead and invade it and do whatever they like. Would like the bylaws to be enforced. Minister Tlhabisa is in the process of concluding his report on an issue that beset us just last year, when a number of children died through the sale of unsafe foodstuffs in the various shopping outlets, spaza shops and otherwise. And we found that a number of them do not observe either health laws or regulations or bylaws. That will all be revealed in the report that he will give, and we will enhance and must enhance the observation of bylaws. And we would like to see more increased visibility of police, particularly in crime spots. I have paid my tribute and given words of praise to the JMPD, who I saw in their uniform late at night as I was with my protectors going through Johannesburg, and I saw how they are making Johannesburg, the inner city, safe. Would like to see more and more of that, so that Johannesburg should be seen and regarded as a safe city. And Mayor and Premier would like to see more and more of those boots in the street and those boots and warm bodies visible, so that the people of Johannesburg should have a sense of safety in the suburbs, in the inner city, and in the townships. The working group will work with social partners to accelerate service delivery, or rather the delivery of housing and the upgrading of informal settlements. I know that as the economic hub of the country, you face enormous challenges as people migrate more and more to the city. But at the same time, it is a challenge that we must meet head-on and ensure that we address the challenge of people who are coming to Johannesburg living in informal settlements. And we therefore need to up our game when it comes to human settlements or housing. In the inner city, we will launch a rejuvenation project focusing on improved safety, infrastructure upgrades, and yes, housing redevelopment. We spoke earlier about abandoned buildings that need to be recalibrated and that need to be fashioned in a way that they can accommodate our people and give them dignity. Through this, we aim to encourage investment and create a vibrant and clean urban core that delivers a better life to everyone. We have set out a time frame to achieve all this, and the Presidential Johannesburg Working Group will look closely at the time frame that we should have. It should not be an elongated time frame. We want Johannesburg to go back to its glory days as soon as possible. And this working group will report on a regular basis to ministers and to myself. I will be paying a keen interest on what is happening here in Johannesburg, as I will and am doing with what's happening in eThekwini. And we will also be going to other metros. We cannot act as if it is business as usual. We must recognize the crisis before us and meet it and address it with the resources within the time frames that we are setting, with a high measure of accountability, and make sure that indeed people who are allocated work do get the work done. But in the end, government cannot do it alone. And that is why we are having this integrated discussion which brings together various stakeholders. The involvement of broader stakeholders in the working group will not only hold us collectively accountable to the targets that we set, but will accelerate our efforts. We have seen it in eThekwini, and we have seen how it boosts confidence and energizes people, including in labor, including in the private sector, as people see that progress is being engendered in what we are seeking to do to improve our people's lives and to also grow our economy. In the coming weeks, my team will be engaging business, labor and civil society, and academia regarding their respective roles in the Presidential Johannesburg Working Group. So all of you as entities who stood up here to speak, you will be part of this. And the roles that you will play will be clearly delineated. I know that this announcement that was made might have surprised you, but you have said we need to act with urgency, and that's precisely what we have done. In eThekwini, as soon as we made the announcement, people got down to work, and as the work has been progressing, they have been encouraged to see the great progress that is being made. I do look forward to receiving an update of all stakeholders that have committed to support this effort. So this Presidential Working Group on Johannesburg will have 2 coordinators or 2 leaders, one from government, and I will be appointing another person from the private sector or from amongst our other stakeholders, so that it is properly integrated, so that it is more broadly accepted. And I expect that all stakeholders will find a way of working together. And it will have a number of work streams focusing on a number of areas. We have found that this works very well because we have various groups that will, or work streams that will focus on specific areas, and it involves a lot of work, I must warn you. It involves a lot of meetings. It involves a lot of fact-finding and fact confirmation, but it is work that is worth it. I'm confident that this partnership will improve the quality of life of the people of Johannesburg and will also make Johannesburg an attractive place for investment. Johannesburg as a city is a resilient city and has been so for the longest time. But it is also a place of innovation and a place of great hope. So I invite all of us to move forward with determination and unity, and also be committed to the shared future that we all have, and ensuring that we leave no one behind, even the one who claims to be the first resident of this city, which I welcome because I'll get a discount on my rates. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. As you want to take your seat, I'd like to invite the Speaker of the City of Johannesburg, Councillor Ramaphosa, to come and pass the vote of thanks. Councillor.
Thank you, Program Director. Your Excellency, President Cyril Ramaphosa, you are the only person who can make the Speaker feel like a visitor in a council chambers, but we'll forgive you because you are the President of our Republic. Honourable Ministers and Deputy Ministers, Honourable Premier of Gauteng, Mr. Panyaza Lesufi, members of the Executive Council, Executive Mayor of the City of Johannesburg, Councillor Sillo Dada Murero, members of the Mayoral Committee, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Allow me to deliver this vote of thanks on behalf of the City of Johannesburg for this insightful and impactful two-day engagement. On behalf of the City of Johannesburg, we extend our deepest gratitude for choosing our city to host such an important gathering, one that seeks to find sustainable solutions to some of the most pressing challenges that are facing our municipality. And chief among them being how to implement impactful service delivery within the City of Johannesburg, because we all want the city to go back to being the world-class African city. Mr. President, together with your Cabinet, the Premier's Executive Council, the City of Johannesburg leadership, we appreciate your commitment to engaging with municipalities and communities at a grassroots level. Your presence here affirms the importance of local government in the broader development agenda of our municipality, and as evidenced by the Presidential Johannesburg Working Group. Mr. President, as the legislative arm of the City of Johannesburg, we will continue to play our critical oversight role, ensuring that the decisions made during the engagement for the past 2 days translate into a meaningful action that benefits our residents, the people of the City of Johannesburg. Once again, thank you for your time, thank you for your insights and your commitment to improving the lives of our residents. May we continue to work together in unity and purpose to build a better Johannesburg and a stronger South Africa. I thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And Mr. President, I'd like to address Mr. Mantashe. It's my single honor to adjourn this session. Thank you. Have a lovely one. Thank you.
The meeting is adjourned.